Phones, laptops, TVs. What do these have in common? Some may say they serve to entertain us, whereas others may say that instead of connecting us to others, they continuously move us further towards the disconnection of reality. As a collective, humans tend to replace real-life experiences with technology, not to escape from reality, but to create an ideal fantasy. Yet, this fantasy is what is driving humanity into degradation and loss of real human connection. People would rather look at a glorified piece of metal than actually engage meaningfully with another person. No one shares stories anymore. No one connects anymore. No one experiences what it actually is to be human. Although it may be hard to understand the dangers of technology, a simple metaphor of a candle can sum it up nicely. The candle wax, a symbol of the human connection, the wick, a symbol of a person's individuality, and the oxygen, a symbol of human experiences. Over time, technology, represented by the flame, feeds on the candle and drains the oxygen until there is nothing left. Imagine, if you can, a small room, hexagonal in shape, like the cell of a bee. It is lighted neither by window nor by lamp, yet it is filled with a soft radiance. There are no apertures for ventilation, yet the air is fresh. There are no musical instruments, and yet, at the moment that my meditation opens, this room is throbbing with melodious sounds. An armchair is in the center, by its side a reading desk. That is all the furniture. And in the armchair, there sits a swaddled lump of flesh, a woman, about 5 feet high with a face as white as fungus. Is this what you want your future to look like? Do you think that humanity is going towards this reality where we communicate less in person and more through a virtual landscape? If we remove basic adversities in our life, are we really living? If you had everything at your fingertips, would there be a reason to go outside and connect with others? Tonight on 15 Minutes, we'll investigate the decline of human connection, the uproar of technological dependence, and how our future isn't looking so bright. To perfectly explain the dim future of humanity, we have E.M. Forster to talk about his book, The Machine Stops. Mr. Forster, you're looking fantastic for 143.
Thank you, good sir.
Well, for those who haven't read your book, could you briefly summarize your masterpiece?
So, my novel displays a dystopian future where real-life experiences have been replaced by automation via the machine. A complex technological system that's capable of producing anything, such as air, food, and music. The protagonist, Kuno, being an adventurous individual, isn't satisfied with this life, and seeks to find a way to live and experience life like we do every day.
I probably wouldn't mind if I had a machine to do everything for me, automate my cooking, cleaning, or do my son's Band 6 English assessment.
Maybe. But don't you think you would become awfully dependent on technology, lose human connection with your child, lose the ability to really experience what it is to be human, or lose your uniqueness? To visualize this, let me recite one of my absolute favorite quotes from the end of the book. Excuse my Alzheimer's if I'm muddle it up a bit. She crawled over the bodies of the dead. His blood spurted over her hands. Quicker, he gasped. I am dying, but we touch, we talk, not through the machine. The contrast between the beginning of the book, where the only means of communication was through the machine, and the end of the book, where even in their last moments they find it unusual to communicate face to face, illustrates how technology is, instead of developing the human generation, it's actually reverting us back in time.
It is quite ironic how technology was originally made to connect us wherever we are, and now you predict that eventually technology is the catalyst for loss of human connection?
Definitely. I further exposed Kuno's anomalistic eagerness to connect with literally anyone, as he has been deprived of human connection, through the use of anaphora. In I want to see you not through the machine, said Kuno. I want to speak to you not through the wearisome machine.
I think it really is truly scary how, if you think about it, we're almost to that point, especially with the recent COVID crisis. Virtual socialization is becoming more and more commonplace.
And I pretty much predicted it over 110 years ago.
And on that bombshell, we'll be right back after a fruity ad break.
What's this? What's this?
Wow, that ad break was right on topic, actually. Maybe the future is closer than we thought. It's quite scary how far we've come in such a short time, huh? You know, Forster, I think I heard you were going to bring one of your esteemed friends onto the program, right?
Oh, yes. This is Walter Michel, my great friend and a prominent social psychologist. Now, Walter, I think I've got quite the question for you. Do you think human experiences dictate human qualities, or do human qualities dictate human experiences?
Well, that's like the person-situation debate. Is the person or the situation more influential in determining human behavior? So if we take Kuno and anyone else from your book and put them in the same situation, they're going to experience it a little differently because human qualities shape human experiences.
Exactly. I purposely characterized Kuno, a very curious, adventurous, and rebellious individual, to be an anomaly, against the rest of the characters who are a stagnant, closed-minded collective, to illustrate how technology has conditioned everyone to be the same, think the same, which contributes to a loss of individuality in human experience. What was the quote again? Alzheimer's. Kuno says, "The machine is stopping. I know it. I know the signs." Which displays his perceptive nature, which is uncommon in this dystopian future as a result of the machine.
So, individual human experiences are dictated by the individual's human qualities. But what about the collective human experience?
So collective human experiences like celebrating someone's birthday or going to a football game are meant to help us relate to others and be understood, while also shaping our identity. However, Mr. Forster, he cleverly subverts this idea by depicting humanity as a collective to lose the ability to relate, communicate, and truly connect with one another as a result of technology. In the future society depicted in The Machine Stops, technology, while it allows others to communicate, it purposely hinders their connection. What was the quote? Oh, here. "She could not be sure, for the machine did not transmit nuances of expression. It only gave a general idea of people, an idea that was good enough for all practical purposes." See, the machine here is used to symbolize technology and its nature to alienate people from direct human experiences. Humans being social creatures, we often communicate via storytelling. However, this becomes limited through technology, as it does not articulate the user's expressions and faces, which are vital when it comes to non-verbal communication. Hindering storytelling, or basic communication, impairs the human experience of storytelling.
So, what you're saying is technology, rather than enhancing human experiences, dilutes them to only practical purposes. We can clearly see how the oxygen is slowly consumed by the flame as nature intended, representing how, Mr. Forster, you predicted that technology will continue to deplete the human experience. Can we see this in the modern day?
Oh yes, I remember I went to visit my friend recently, who has a 5-year-old son. Adorable little thing, but extremely loud. So whenever he started yelling, instead of the parents giving the child attention which he needed, they threw an iPad in front of him to placate him. These little children, from only 5 years old, are already becoming accustomed to technology, becoming addicted, becoming dependent, so much so that whenever the parent takes the iPad away, they start crying like a baby, which they are. Then whenever the parents reverse the damage technology has caused, the child has almost withdrawal symptoms from technology. They don't go outside where they can experience both individual and collective human experiences, and they don't talk to anyone, which limits their human connections and impairs their communication skills. And they don't experience anything, I'm saying anything, which results in them becoming these boring, stagnant individuals like the characters in The Machine Stops.
You can almost say that technology is breeding children to be vapid and boring. Eventually, these kids will have no stories to tell because they've never experienced anything.
Well, in part 3 of my book, The Homeless, I foreshadow how future generations will become less and less connected. The flame of the candle will burn until there's nothing left to burn. I know, there's a quote in my book about this. There will come a generation that had got beyond facts, beyond impressions, a generation absolutely colourless, a generation seraphically free from taint of personality. This describes their ideal future where humans will be devoid of human emotions, qualities, connections, and individuality, where they themselves will almost become robots.
Maybe you should reconsider giving your child an iPad the next time they ask for one.
I know we focused a lot on technology, but let's discuss what human qualities we are losing due to technology. Can we expect people to become impatient, unreasonable, or even lazy?
Well, you've hit the nail right on the head. I subtly characterized the collective in my book as easily irritable, close-minded, and, just as you said, impatient and unreasonable. Oh, this reminds me of another one of my favorites. I think the quote was... "Shortly, at once," she retorted. "Things are always put right at once. If you do not mend it at once, I shall complain to the Central Committee." Here she uses exclamatory language, which shows her lack of empathy, understanding, and patience, all vital human qualities individuals must have to connect with others. I think you millennials call these types of people Karens?
Yep, sounds like a typical Karen.
Well, studies have actually shown that dealing with these minor adversities or tasks, like walking the dog or buying groceries, actually significantly contributes to an individual's overall character, who they are as a person. And now that the machine, or technology nowadays, has the ability to resolve many of these issues that we face daily, we are losing our human qualities like resilience, patience, and problem solving.
So, Forster, throughout the end of the book, would you say that you focused upon the idea of humanity and how connection to one another is slowly dying?
Yes, that's definitely one of the main themes within the book. You know, it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. It was something along the lines of, "Beautiful naked man was dying, strangled in the garments that he had woven."
So, what does that actually mean, though?
Essentially, the quote describes how Vashti and Kuno are sorrowful for humanity as they watch the world as they know it collapse around them. They acknowledge, finally, that technology was the sole cause of humanity's demise in the end. The use of the metaphor, strangled in the garments that he had woven, illuminates how humanity is being strangled by its own creation, technology, suffering the repercussions of advancing too far and too fast, and not thinking about the consequences along the way.
So, in this section of the book, did you embed any kinds of paradoxes which could relate to the human experience and how it's slowly decaying?
Wow, you've really done your research, huh, kid? Yes, of course I have. This has to be one of my absolute favourite quotes from the book. "Century after century had he toiled, and here was his reward. Truly the garment had seemed heavenly at first, and heavenly it had been, so long as it was a garment and no more." So the extended metaphor of the garment highlights the paradoxical nature of humanity and its actions through its
Yes, I think what you're trying to say is this term that our social psychologists refer to as cognitive dissonance. Here's how I see it. On one hand, they're the people who have recognized and acknowledged the damage that technology has caused upon humanity and the world. Yet on this other hand, humanity persists with its own creation, blinded by how the garments had seemed heavenly at first, ending up bringing itself to its own demise, in a sense through their own ignorance. Centuries after centuries, this would now be humanity's reward. As a result of this dependence of technology or the garment, humans have lost the ability to truly connect with others in this world.
What can we do to counteract technology? How can we put out this flame? Can we put out this monumental fire technology has caused?
Wow, those are quite colossal questions, which I may not give you a holy grail answer. But what I can tell you is this. Technology is now considered as a human experience on its own, whether we like it or not. We can either acknowledge this and use it to enhance our lives like we do today, or we can let it consume us and take control of us like the machine stops. I think we need to learn from Mr. Forster's book here and know the dangers of technology for the future.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight. I'm Jose Lana, and this has been 15 Minutes Australia.